This podcast is brought to you in part by PNP Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or at their 2 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Let's get started.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Bonus Stage Podcast. This is episode number 33, recording this on Friday, May 31st, 2013. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison, and joining me, and you must be cold, Jeff Ward.
It's a little chilly down here, but I just actually really like wearing this sweater. It's the Blue Jays authentic gear sweater that they wear when they're warming up and stuff like that. Carly got it for me for my birthday.
You like pretending you're a large, sweaty dude?
Yeah, well, you know what? I actually don't have to pretend that I'm a large, sweaty dude, but
there you go.
I like pretending I'm a large, sweaty dude with a purpose.
Ah, okay, there you go.
So that's the distinction you have to make.
Yikes! All right. So how you been?
I've been good. I've been really, really busy this week. It's been absolutely insane. As we talked before the show, I was up till like 6:30 in the morning today rendering video and
fun.
Slept, until the late afternoon. So I'm like all over the map right now. But the work is done. I have just 15 minutes of shooting to do either tomorrow or Sunday whenever we schedule it. So I've got the weekend off, which is really nice. So I'm just going to kind of relax, go see a movie or something.
Nice.
Maybe play some video games. Who knows?
Nice.
Who knows?
Nice. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah. How about you?
All the above. Really incredibly busy this past week. Kara had to go get some more eye work done, so we've been kind of dealing with that and playing some games and I'm so ready for the weekend. It's going to be basically a drunken stupor. If it all goes according to plan, I need to blow off some steam or something. It's been a really, really tough week. So happy it's the weekend though. Happy that we're doing the show as well.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like I don't want to. When people get excited for the weekend, and I'll see it on Facebook, they're like, "Oh yeah, thank God it's Friday" and all that kind of stuff. I don't get excited for the weekend anymore because I've been working from home for so long.
Yeah, that kind of ruins it.
So there's no there's no oh, it's the weekend. It's just another day, which is a really that's a stupid thing to complain about because a lot of people would love to work from home, but it's kind of weird. Like Saturday, it's just another day. Monday, I don't care. I don't even know what day of the week it is most of the time. You sent me a message this morning and I was like, oh yeah, it's Friday. I should probably do the show notes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's good. I haven't worked from home for a long time, so I don't know what that feels like. I work the 5 days and then I look forward to the weekend, especially since it allows me to actually sit and actually get some gaming in, which is a really good thing.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get into the show. Before we do that, I just wanted to thank PNP Games again for sponsoring the network. We love them here. We get games from them. We buy stuff. Went there on the weekend and picked up some games with my kids. My son's playing Hot Wheels Stunt something or other. Stunt Track Challenge for the Game Boy Advance, and he loved it. He bought it with $8 of his own money, so he was super. And it came with a box and a manual, man. So if you're looking for new games, you're looking for old games, you can find them all at pnpgames.com. Check them out. Head on over to our webpage, click the banner ad. This is the easiest way. You don't even have to remember the URL, and it'll take you right there, and you can have a look at all the games that they have for sale. So please do that, and we thank PNP Games for their support.
Yeah, definitely. They're a big help to us, and it's nice to kind of be able to, they keep the show going, and we're trying to throw some business their way as well too. I love shopping there. I have not bought a video game from any other store but PNP for the last couple of years, so they're a big part of my buying procedure. I'll go and see if they have what I need. One of the great things about PNP is if I need if I want to get a game from the archives, something that's old. If they don't have it, they will get it for me, and they get it really quick too. I've done a couple of special orders where they had it in just a few days, so that's really nice too.
Yeah, no, they're really good. So do check them out, especially if you're here in Winnipeg. They're probably the best game store in Winnipeg, or they definitely are the best game store in Winnipeg. There's no probably about it. And if you're outside of the Winnipeg area, you can check them out at pnpgames.com. All right, man, let's get into the show.
Yeah.
Jeff, what the heck have you been playing these days?
So I have a few things here on my list. I've been playing a ton of Skyrim this week. I'm about 160 hours in now, all on one character, by the way. I've only ever played the character I started off with, and I actually went back into my achievements to see what was the first day I got an achievement on, and it was the day I got the game, which was Christmas 2011. So I've had the game now for, like, we're looking at a year and a half. Or I guess not, basically a year and a half, a year and 5 months. And there's still things for me to do in this game, and that is insane. I mean, I've played 156 hours, closing in on 160, and I haven't even reached level 50 yet. I'm doing the companion quest line right now. There's hundreds.
You haven't reached level 50?
No,
how is that possible? Are you not using any of your other skills?
I literally only just hack dudes apart with a greatsword.
Wow. Okay, because
I'm a very one-note kind of player when it comes to a game like that. I just want to you like inflict massive damage with heavy friggin' weapons.
Because I think the level cap is something like 78 or something. So you have a long way to go to even reach the level cap. But there's not even a level cap anymore. With the latest patch that happened, you can reset you can reset your skills to 15 at any time, and then you can pretty much level up as many times as you want because of that.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that. It's kind of like the Call of Duty Prestige thing, because I remember seeing on the skill tree, they're like, if you max out your skills, you can set it back to 0 and then reallocate those points. I'm like, that's actually pretty cool. I might do that and try to do something different. So right now I'm trying to get my smithing up to 100 because I really want to make dragon armor. So I'm just,
It's horrible.
I just really want to make it. I'm just kidding.
It's not bad. I play the stealthy kind of characters, so I never went that way because it was useless to me. Yeah. I just did all of the Thieves Guild, and the armor you get from the Thieves Guild is probably the best stuff that you can get. So
yeah, the Night Gale armor is pretty slick. If you do, there's like an optional quest line in the what was the last piece of DLC called again?
Yeah, no.
When you're in Solstheim or whatever, right? You can go around and get this light armor that's called the Death Brand armor, and it basically, when you wear all these pieces together, it's made out of Stalream. It's a light armor.
It's horrible.
Are you saying that?
No, I'm just saying because I said that the last time.
Like, what are you even doing? It's actually really great. Like, you can breathe underwater when you have everything on. Every piece has a different enchantment that's extremely useful. Bows do more damage, and when you have all the pieces on together, your armor skill will go up another 100 points. So it's like you're wearing a full set of heavy armor. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Dragonborn was the DLC.
Go. That's what.
Dragonborn, Dawnguard, and Hearthfire.
Yeah.
Because the Legendary Edition is coming out soon.
Yes, it is.
Which has all that stuff packed in. Usually I'm a guy that for games that I've missed, or if I haven't gotten all the DLC, I'll buy the Game of the Year version or whatever. The Legendary Edition of Skyrim is $60. It's a full retail price which for a game that's like 2 years old. I don't approve. Even though there's all the DLC baked in, it's still a 2-year-old game.
Yeah, and you're actually looking at $35 worth of DLC. The two big packs were
but it's old.
$15 each. Yeah,
but
I know.
It's old.
Oh, no, I'm actually not saying that to defend it. I'm saying that in spite of it, because Hearthfire's $5. Like you're really not saving any money here. I think that the game it should be $40 for everything, like every other edition is. Now, granted, I think the only saving grace here is that Skyrim alone, without any DLC, is worth about $100 to me. I would, if that game came out launch and was like, this is $100, that is worth every friggin' cent of that $100.
Sure.
Because it is so big. So you're still getting a great amount of content for a pretty good price, but I agree it should be lower. It should be $40 or $35 or whatever. But
like every other Game of the Year edition. It comes out at $39.99. And includes you're looking at Fallout. When Fallout came out, the Game of the Year edition came out, it was $39.99. I mean,
and there was a ton more content with Fallout 3.
Totally. Oblivion, their Game of the Year edition was, I believe, $39.99 as well. It just seems weird that Skyrim, for a game that's been out for 2 years, they want to get another $60 from people. Seems a little bizarre.
Yeah, they'll do it. I if it was any other game, I'd be like, oh, but I mean,
yeah, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but it's it's a Game of the Year essential like bundle. It shouldn't be that price.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't sell well, and then they drop it down to the $40 where it should be, and don't do that silly stuff ever again.
Yeah. I hope that it's we talked about this last week as well too with the used game stuff, and I feel like even though that gamers do have the power to vote with their wallets, we don't do it very often, if at all. And I think that Skyrim Legendary Edition at $60 is going to make a pretty good chunk of change. Which is unfortunate because it shouldn't be valued at that much, even though it is worth that money. It should be less. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been going through that, and I basically want to get all the achievements. So I've got about 11 or 12 left to go. So I'm just kind of grinding through some stuff that I don't really want to do. It's going to be one of those situations where it's like I have to pick 50 pockets. So I'm going to get in behind somebody, drink one of those elixirs, save the game. If I fail, then I'm going to reload that save and pick their pocket again. I did it with Fallout when I was trying to do the hack the computers and stuff like that, because it was such a pain in the ass, and I had no interest in hacking or picking pockets. I mean, my character right now has like 230,000 gold on him. I don't need anything else.
No.
I just want that achievement. It's worth like 30 points.
I find that really weird because you're playing on the 360 where you don't even get like a final achievement for getting all the other achievements. Like it's not like the PS3 where you get a platinum trophy.
That's true.
For getting all the other achievements. Like I can't. I used to be that guy, but lately I just can't see myself ever spending an hour trying to get one little achievement just to fully complete a game. There's so many other games in the world to play.
There is. And I don't do it very often. I did it with Fallout 3, and I did it with Lost via Damus, but that was because they were just given to you. I only have like 3 games that I've actually completed 100% on. I have a lot of games that I've got like, I need 3 or 4 left, but they're just too much of a pain in the ass. But there was actually a really great article on Kotaku today written by a guy who was like an editorial, and he has like 125,000 gamer score. Like it's insane. Wow. And he was talking about how addicted he was to he doesn't even care about playing the games anymore. He would buy a new game and then go online and figure out like what achievement should I be working towards first and stuff. So because I saw myself in that guy, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my life. So yeah, been playing a ton of Skyrim. I also downloaded the demo for Call of Juarez Gunslinger on the 360. It's out for all platforms, by the way, but I was playing it on the 360. And this game is so stupid, but it's also really great. Like I feel like very, very few games can be intentionally over the top and cheesy and still work. And Westerns are of that ilk. You can make an over the top cheesy Western, Django Unchained is very over the top and very cheesy in some regard, but it still really works because that universe that's been created through pop culture is over the top and silly, and this game is over the top and silly. They do a couple of really interesting things where you're playing this character in his early 20s or something like that, and as an old man, he's telling the story. So as you're walking through the world, he's narrating, in your headphones or whatever, he's narrating what's happening, and all these people around him are asking him questions because they're listening to this story. So sometimes you'll go in and like you'll shoot out a bunch of guys and stuff, and he'll go, actually, you know what, that's not how it happened, and then he'll rewind and make you do it again, but it'll be different. It's really cool, and the gunplay is really tight. The guns feel great. There's like a slow down mode like there is in most shooter games, and it's got this kind of really interesting, very vibrant color palette, but it's almost cel-shaded at the same time. It's very cool. I actually want to go pick this game up, but I've got other things to play and other work to do, so I think it'll be one of those ones that in the summertime when I've got nothing to play, this will be a game I'll go and pick up and give it a run through, because I don't know if there's much replayability here, so I don't want to judge the game based on the demo, but I don't feel like there's enough here to make it worth $60, which is why I'll wait until it comes down and it's used.
It's only $15.
What do you? Oh wait, yeah, it's an arcade game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only
Oh yeah,
$15. It's not a full price game.
that's true. All right, so yeah, well then I probably will pick it up. I forgot that it was an arcade game.
Yeah, no, it's dirt cheap. It reminds me a lot of Blood Dragon, where it's like it's not a long game, but you're gonna get a heck of a lot of gameplay for your $15.
Yeah, shoot. Then you know what? I probably will just pick it up because $15 is the damn good price for what I already played. That's enough to sell me on it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna pick that up then. Um, Play the demo because I think a lot of you will be really surprised. And the last thing I've been doing is I've gotten really addicted to chess lately. So I made an account on chess.com, probably the second or third internet website ever made. Um, and I've been just addicted to just playing chess online with people. And if you want to play chess with me, my username on there is Jeff A Ward, just like my Twitter handle, and you can find me on there and we can play chess. My ELO rating dropped below 1,000 today, and I was really kind of pissed off because I made some horrible mistakes in a game against a guy who was really great. But I got it up now back to 1,100, which is where I am usually. I'm not a horrible player, but I'm certainly not a grandmaster. I'm not a Gary Kasparov or anything like that. So
Trevor in the
I
chat
saw
room
that.
says that you were actually trying to go to chest.com, and
I was opening another tab.
yeah, it was you typed it wrong, man.
Yeah.
Gotta fix that for next time.
So yeah, if any chess players are out there, chess.com is a great tool to utilize because you get this free account, you get to play online with people, you get to play live chess through Flash. You can play online, like we can start a game right now and just do one move at a time.
You know, there's like iPhone apps that allow you to do that
Oh,
too.
I know. But one of the other great things is if you're really serious about learning chess, they have a ton of educational resources to take use of. They have like daily puzzles and stuff, how to get out of jams, how to use different openings in chess, and all this great stuff that I like. I get sucked into chess really easy because it's such a fantastic game. Yes, I've been playing so the oldest game in the world, basically. Chess a lot. So that's been my week: chess, Skyrim, and Western shooters.
I see there's a genre that you like. There's a definite genre of games.
Oh
that
yeah,
you
they're
play.
definitely connected through
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I've been playing a fair bit as well. I was actually just playing a little bit of one right now, so I can talk about it. I've been playing a lot of Far Cry 3
You
on.
weren't paying attention to me?
No, I was paying attention to you because it's an old game that I've played before, so I don't really need to pay attention to it. I've been playing some Far Cry 3 on my Xbox 360, which has been really great. I'm about halfway through the game. I just got to the midway point, I believe, where I had to do something. I had to climb out of something really gross and basically got killed, but it didn't kill me, and now I'm going back for revenge. Really, really fun game. It reminds me of so many different games that I played. The world that you're exploring is just beautiful, like super oversaturated when it's bright and sunny out, then dark and dingy when it gets really, really stormy. It's a great game. I'm glad that I finally played it. I mean, it's weird that I played Blood Dragon first and then jump into this one.
Yeah, but I guess they're so different that like you don't really need to play one or the other first.
No, I'm just saying because I've already experienced a world that was very limited, very dark, very,
okay.
very, very kind of, I don't know, limited. I guess it's like you're in a smaller island and stuff, and then you jump into this world where it's huge, and you're driving across the country and taking over places and climbing towers and all this stuff. It reminds me of so many games. Like when you climb the towers, it has a little bit of Assassin's Creed in it. There's a lot of kind of Skyrim. There's a lot of Fallout in it. I don't know. It's really good. The weapons are really good. The whatchamacallit, the crafting system is kind of cool as well. I've pretty much
I like that the
crafted.
crafting system like isn't too in depth. It's just in depth enough for you to do it on the fly, which I think is really great.
Yeah, totally. And I pretty much focused a little bit of time just kind of jumping around, killing everything that I needed to get all of my wallet big, my ammo holder big, and all that other stuff. And then the game kind of got super simple. Once you unlock all the weapons and your ammo supplies go up, then it's not as hard where you run out of ammo on all your guns and then die.
Yeah. that is a kind of a, even when the enemies aren't all that strong, you just run out of ammo so easily, or you run out of money. Like, you're finding money all over the place and you can't pick it up because your wallet can only hold $200.
Yeah, exactly. So really, really digging it. As I said, I'm about halfway through, so maybe I'll do a review. Even though it's an older game, maybe I'll give you a mini review next week. I'm sure I'll beat it this weekend. But yeah, I'm really glad I picked it up. So been playing a lot of that one. Also been playing Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D on the 3DS. Even though last week I said it was going to be something I'm going to put on my list and pick up when I didn't have anything to play. I went to P&P Games on the weekend with my kids and ended up picking it up because it was there. And I was like, all right, I'll buy it now. And I've been playing it, and it's exactly like the Wii version, but it's portable in 3D, and you don't have any stupid waggle control that was just annoying more than anything on the Wii version. Really enjoying it. I'm in the fourth part of the island, so not quite through it. I haven't gotten to any of the new content that they've added to this version, but yeah, it's Donkey Kong Country Returns. It's $35 if you haven't played it yet, and you have a 3DS. Just as good to pick up this version than the Wii version. You're not really gaining anything from playing the bigger one. It's pretty much the exact same game on the 3DS. So yeah, check that one out. And also picked up The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons.
Nice.
They dropped on the eShop for $5 each. They're on sale for 3 weeks. They go up $1 each after June 20th. And yeah, so I played Oracle of Seasons. I bought that one way back in the day. So I'm now playing through Oracle of Ages so I can get the password to plug into Oracle of Seasons, and then start that one up and play through that one again to get the password to pop back into Oracle Ages so that I can fully complete the series, because I had never done that previously.
I think we talk about this last week. I think you only need to do the password once. I don't think you need both passwords from each game and go back. I believe
you do, because you want to get all your items moved back over, because you move a bunch of stuff back from the second one to the first one to get all of the items. So you're super powerful, and then you can take on the end boss. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to have all the stuff in the game, that's the only way that you can do it, is by moving back and forth.
Such a weird system, right? Like, I always find it really fascinating how just a sequence of letters and numbers can, like, you could transfer your information to another game. It's just so bizarre to me sometimes, especially in that era where it's, like an 8-bit cartridge, like, very strange.
Yeah, it's great. The one thing that this one doesn't have is, since you're playing it emulated on a Game Boy, you don't get any of the stuff that the Game Boy Advance version, or not the Game Boy Advance version, but what you'd get when you played it on a Game Boy Advance. There was some added content. There's extra rings and things. So you don't get that on this version, but people have written some apps online where you plug in your password and it figures out what characters you can change, and then it gives you the 2 rings that you can't get any other way and stuff like that. So cool. Yeah, anyway, I'm enjoying it. It's like each of the games is about 15 hours. Like it's a pretty sizable portable RPG, so it's going to be something that's going to be on my 3DS for a long time. And I just want to play through both of them, because I've never played through the Oracle of Ages, so I'm more excited about just playing through that one than completing the game, because I hear the content after you link the two isn't that big. But I still want to do that anyway, but it's probably going to take me a long time, because this is going to be I don't have anything else to do for 15 minutes. Let's jump in and do that and stuff like that. So
yeah, portable Zeldas are good for that. I'm looking online here, and Trey Too Fast just said in the chat room, it is only one password. Doesn't matter where you start, so you can go from one game. I thought you
could go back to the first one. Maybe I misunderstood or misread something.
You might be able to, but I don't know if there's actually a reason to do that.
I think it's supposed to unlock some other items. I'm gonna have to find the article, because I was reading about it earlier, like yesterday or today or whatever. I'll have to find that article.
I'm only on the wiki page, and it's a very, very short blurb about just using the password, going into the other game, and then there's like another boss that you have to beat.
Yep.
But it's really, really short. It doesn't say anything else after that.
Yep. So yeah, $5 available on the eShop. So check them out. $10 to get 2 amazing portable Zelda games.
This is the Mass Effect of Zelda games. I gotta make sure that my crew survives through Oracle of Ages to Seasons.
Yeah, in mini fashion.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, that's about it for what I've been playing. Let's get into the rest of the show. New releases this week. I have a few games. Grid 2 came out. That's a game available on the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 3, the PC, and the 360. I was not a fan of Grid. So
it was okay.
It was okay, but it wasn't anything to write home about. I haven't been following any of the development of Grid 2, but if you're into racing, you might want to check that one out.
That's the thing about racing games, right? Is that like there are a few games like Gran Turismo and Forza that do it so friggin' well that if you're a Grid, like.
Yep.
The only other game that kind of comes close and you're in a different zone is like Dirt was fantastic when it came out.
Yeah, just because of the HDR graphics that they enabled. So when you go under a bridge, you're just like, holy crap, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then the game itself was like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
It was for me, it was more the graphics than anything else.
That's true. And then you'd spend that entire race like, God, I want to go around that bridge again. Like, there it is. Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, look at all that. Look at that crazy shadow with the cars are casting shadows on themselves. This is stupid. And then it's like, oh yeah, the driving's okay.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm in last place, but I don't care. You're just reversing and going through the bridge like every single time.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's out. If anybody is excited about it, you can go pick it up. And there you go. Also up is Fuse, which is getting really all over the place reviews. Fuse is Insomniac's latest release. It is a 4-player co-op game that you can play single player. When you play co-op, each of you gets to control a character. Each of the characters has a unique gun, and that's kind of where the specialty comes in. One person fires a specific kind of gun that does something, and then someone else comes and shoots the same person, and it causes different effects and chains. You lose that when you play single player, but to get around that, you can basically jump from character to character whenever you want. Yep. Although the AI in the game is terrible, so you can only accidentally ever do those chains. The computer that you're playing with doesn't ever try to set those things up. Some other things. I've just heard that it's a super mediocre game, and
I've heard the same.
That the only thing that is good about it is the guns are cool, and the guns have more personality than the characters you control,
and that's kind of the thing about Insomniac, right? Is that they've kind of they have a penchant for making unbelievably cool weapons. Ratchet and Clank, and the Resistance series had some of the coolest new weapons you'd ever seen. And this game, because I actually played the demo on the 360 the other day, has that. But you only really have one. So each character has a cool gun. One guy's gun shoots out this big shield that can absorb a bunch of damage and knock guys back. Another character's gun can shoot a guy and like warp him into another dimension and stuff. And like those are pretty cool, but there's 4 unique guns. And then the rest is like, I've got a pistol, I've got a shotgun, and an assault rifle. And that's kind of stupid. And when it comes to the chaining stuff, I only played solo, so I can't really speak to how much fun it would be if you're with 3 of your other friends. But the game is either way too easy, right, where you're chaining all the time because the AI is so stupid, or it just flips over to this point where it's just so difficult that you can't even get out of cover without getting just torn apart. So it's what I've heard the same thing as you. It's just painfully average. There's nothing special about it, but it is a video game, and it's not broken in any way. It feels and works like a good game, but it's just not special, Yeah,
it's Insomniac always has these really great characters that you love and that you want to basically be around at all times. And then they go and make a game that has 4 different characters in it, and they basically make them just like you might as well just be playing with mannequins. Like they have no personality really. Even though there's some good voice actors in it, like Jennifer Hale's in it. So it's not like this is just like some people off the street that are voicing these characters. It's just they spend all the time making the guns cool. Which is really weird because you only get the one gun. It's not like Ratchet and Clank where you get all these different weapons. So yeah, I don't know. It's getting as I said, review scores all over the world. Metacritic has it at about a 65 for its review score, so not really good. So your mileage may vary. Everybody that I've talked to about this or heard talk about the game says, yeah, I'm going to wait to buy a used copy or wait for a price drop. So that's got to be very scary if you're Insomniac.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bother waiting because quite frankly, it's like, I've got better shooters to play, I feel like every once in a while a game company will have gotten so far along in a game and just realize, oh, you know what, this kind of sucks, but we have to finish it so that we can try to break even. I feel like this is one of those games, you know, and a bunch of them come out every year where you can't have, as a creative team, played this game and gone, yes, this was a good idea. Brink was a horrible game, and I feel like the only reason it was released was because we've been talking about it for so long. We got to put this thing out, even though it blows. We have to try to make some money back. You know, it's games come out all the time that are just like, and it's just our attempt to break even.
And it has the worst name ever, like Fuse. Like, can you get
what the hell does that even? Well, okay, yeah. So there is this stuff called Fuse,
which is even stupider because your guns are powered by it. So you're going to save this stuff from people that have stole it, and then you're shooting it all because it's powering your weapons. Like, it's very weird. It's asinine. It used to be called Overstrike, which is a better name for the game, but now it's called Fuse.
It was handled by a different development company at that time, wasn't it?
No.
I thought they transferred development companies.
No, it's published by EA Partners.
Okay.
They didn't have a publisher when they first announced it. So I guess that could have been one of the things that EA has basically said. But yeah, Fuse. Anyway, that's enough talking about that game.
Trey Too Fast says Fuse is like Brink too.
Yeah. Or it's like that other game. Oh, what's the name of the other game that it was a 4-letter word shooter where you had this stuff in the game, totally exactly like Fuse. Haze.
So yeah. That was a PS3 exclusive.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It's just like Haze, where you're playing in a game, a mediocre shooter, trying to find the stuff that is controlling you or whatever, or powering your weapons. Yeah. Anyway,
bizarre.
Enough about that. The Swapper came out on the PC. I don't know anything about this game other than looking at a few screenshots. Looks like a puzzle game.
Yeah, it's a 2D puzzle game. And it's
getting good reviews.
Yeah, it's one of the PAX 10, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's supposed to be really addictive, like a really interesting new take on kind of a 2D puzzle game. I don't know how much it is because I actually couldn't find where to buy it. I gotta assume it's on Steam. I don't have Steam on my computer anymore because it always locks up. So, but yeah, that's out, and I've heard really, really good things about it. If you're into puzzle games and you need that puzzle game fix shot into your arm, the Swapper is out. So
cool. All right, and Castle Storm came out for XBLA. It is a tower defense kind of game, or a castle defense kind of game, not a tower defense kind of game. I don't know of any other game that's come out recently like that. This is a genre that was like super popular for a while and then kind of fell by the wayside. I think the iOS kind of killed the genre because every second game coming out for a while was tower defense, and then a little while later, it was every second game was a castle defense game. But yeah, this it looks interesting. It looks really good. The graphics looks really good. I haven't seen any video or anything like it, but it's also getting 8s out of 10. So it looks like it's a really good, really good game as well.
I thought about downloading the demo, and I was on the screen, and I was just about to hit download, and I was like, well, I'll go over and look at the screenshots, and then I was like, eh. Like, sometimes when I'm on the fence, I'll look at a screenshot and completely judge a book by its cover. You know, like, oh, I don't care. And this is one I just don't care about.
This goes back to our conversation we had before starting, where you say things, but then when other people say it, it's the worst thing ever.
It's true.
Just like because you love when people say it's the best thing or the worst thing ever.
The thing about it is that I'm infallible, and everyone else is completely fallible.
Right.
So that's the way I govern my life.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to keep talking for like 15 minutes on that. So I took a swig of water.
I'm very succinct tonight.
You surprised me. All right. Moving on. Last but definitely not least, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That 10-year-old, really awesome Star Wars game has been released on iOS. So you can download it, play it on your tablet, on your iPad for $10. It's getting
a good price.
Amazing reviews, 8.5 on IGN or 8.6 on IGN. People are saying that there's some control issues, but once you get past that, it's essentially the original game.
To be expected, though. I mean, you know, when you're going from what was a keyboard and mouse controlled game to a touchscreen.
Or keyboard and mouse or a gamepad on a thing. So, yeah, it's people are loving it. I've downloaded it. I haven't played it. I know this is a game that I love, so I'd eventually find some time to play it. So I picked it up, and Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic KOTOR is out on iOS. It just makes me happy to have an iPad in my house, because there's going to be many games like this coming out. I've heard some interesting announcements that are going to be coming out near E3, which are going to make a lot of gamers really, really happy. So moving on.
You must have like your iPad must have like, you get the biggest capacity, right? Because I mean, the amount of iOS games you play for the other show must just completely overwhelm. You're downloading stuff constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I have thousands of downloaded apps, but they're not all on my iPad because there's nothing that big. You can't get one that's big. So yeah, I download the games, play them, and then delete them. That's kind of what I do.
Cool.
So yeah, KOTOR out on the iPad. All right, let's take a small break, and then Jeff is going to have a review for you after the break. So we'll break for a couple minutes, and then we'll be back. So see you in a couple. All right, so that was the track Endless Fantasy from Anna Managuchi's first or newest album called Endless Fantasy. So I just wanted to play that because it is awesome. It's a great album.
Their new album's really great.
Just came out rather. It's $10, and go check it out and do a search for Endless Fantasy on YouTube and watch the video for this one. They actually sent a piece of pizza up into space. They launched it with a weather balloon up into the furthest reaches of the Earth's atmosphere, and then retrieved it and filmed the whole thing, and actually got they got the cops called on them because there was this device in someone's yard that had all these wires and a camera and stuff, and they called the bomb squad thinking that it was something else. And they were really thankful that the FBI didn't blow it up to see what it was, have some bomb destruction robot come and destroy it. But yeah, pretty cool. So go check that one out. So that's Endless Fantasy. Do search for it.
No, I'm all for new ways to shoot videos and just new videos and just get like crazy ideas, but that's fucking stupid. Like, you send a piece of pizza into outer space or into inner space, really, and that's your music video. That's stupid.
Well, that's not the music video.
Oh, there's more to that?
It's in the music video, but that's not the music video.
I thought that was the music video.
No.
Oh, okay, thank God. All right.
You have to listen closer, Jeff. Come on, Mr. Infallible. That was pretty fallible.
Well, I don't think you actually said that there was more to the video. You said that was the video.
I said in part of the video.
Okay, in part. I missed that.
They send a piece of pizza up into space and film it. It's awesome. So check it out. Anyway,
fired up.
Oh, Jeff. All right. Why don't you tell us about the game you're reviewing this week?
Yeah. So this Metro Last Light. I played it last week. This review is sponsored by PNP Games. So thank you to them for supporting the show. I was a big fan of Metro 2033. Although it was one of the most punishing game experiences ever, even on the easier difficulties, it was a really good game. It had this really fantastic, depressing as hell atmosphere to it. It was just, it looked fantastic. There was some really great ideas. I've never read the source material, the Metro 2033 from Dmitry Glukovsky. But now I want to. I really do want to read this book. It's funny because even in the first one and in this game, there's copies of that book everywhere. So anytime you go to like a town area, there's always 10, 20 copies of Metro 2033 just on desks all over the place, just reminding you where the source material came from. This game is well ahead of its predecessor. It completely encapsulates what was all great in the first one and improves on every piece of bad gameplay element design in the first one and makes it fun. So the game is still very hard. It's very difficult, but it's a challenging difficult. It's one that you don't really feel like the game is cheating you out of a victory. It's just, I played this section wrong. I need to go back and rethink it, which I think is the best kind of challenge. The game starts out, I would actually recommend anybody who hasn't played the first one, you don't need to play the first one to play this game, because in the first 8 minutes of the game, and in fact in the first 2 minutes, they do this really nice cutscene that explains pretty much everything you need to know about the first game, which is a really good way to refresh your memory about Metro 2033 and get in the mood for Metro Last Light. And it sets the stage on what you're doing, what the importance of what you're doing is. It sets the stage on how important your character was in the previous game. You play the character of Artyom, and basically in the previous game, he wiped out all of these mutant things called the Dark Ones. And then the first mission in the beginning of the game is that there's one left, and you have to go take it out. And you get to go with this sniper girl. What the hell is her name? Shoot, I can't remember. But anyway, you go with this girl, Anna, that's who it is. Anna, you go with this girl who is like the best sniper in all of the Rangers, right? And she's actually the only female in the entire game that's actually given a purpose, and then it's taken away later. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. But basically, you go with her on this mission to take out the last Dark One, and then the game starts going from there. And it just totally, every time something crazy happens, the next set piece is crazier and crazier and crazier, and the story gets deeper and deeper, and the characters are extremely defined. I always feel like in video games, I have a really good idea of where the story is going to go. And in this one, I had a pretty good idea, but it threw me for a couple of loops. And in fact, there's a couple of sections in here where some characters betray you, and there's this big kind of reveal thing, and it totally shocked me. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. It was really fantastic to see writing that actually surprises you. And this game has a ton of it. This game is absolutely gorgeous to look at. The level of detail is unbelievable. I mean, every person in the Metro is having all these really specific conversations. There's some unbelievably depressing imagery in this game. There's a sequence about halfway through where you're in this quarantine zone, and all these people have this virus, and they're just dying left, right, and center. They're coughing up blood and stuff, and this father and daughter are talking to each other, and this girl's I don't know, 5 years old or something, and she's asking where mommy went, and it's just it's totally heartbreaking. And it's really kind of tough to even watch, you want to walk by because it's just so depressing. You're just let me shoot, guys, because this is going to make me cry. It is really, really deep. So the game keeps unfolding. You have essentially the same weapons as you did in the previous game. The currency in the game is military grade ammunition, which can be used in your gun for increased power, but you're also just shooting away your money. The other ammunition is dirty and old, and it doesn't work properly. So a lot of times your gun will jam, and it always jams when you need it the most. Like you're gunning down a bunch of these mutants, like hunters are coming after you, and you got your back up against a wall, and then your gun jams, and there's like 3 mutants coming right after you, and you're like, damn it, this is the time I needed that weapon, and then they'll come and just completely ravage you. There's a really fantastic element when you go out into the overworld. It's an open world-ish. There are certainly boundaries, but it's kind of a big area to play in. There's a lot of things to go and explore and find, but it's risky because you have to have filters for your mask because there's so much radiation, you can't be breathing it in. So you have to constantly be changing out filters, and your mask can get dirty if you fall in the water or if somebody hits you or something, and there's always like rain coming down. So you like click one of the bumpers and you wipe your mask off, and it is like when they first tell you to do that and your mask is all dirty and you just wipe it clean, that is awesome. It's such a stupid thing too, but it's like a really cool little element to kind of just bring you into the game a little bit more. It's like this game immersion thing that I love to see in video games, where something that could have been done, or they didn't have to put stuff on your mask or whatever and obscure your vision, but they did, and then they gave you a way to clean it off, is really cool. So you're constantly looking for filters, and sometimes your mask can get broken as well too. So like if you get thrown to the ground or if a monster is attacking you, it will crack in spots and you could suffocate. So you have to go and find and loot like dead bodies and take their mask off and put them on your face and stuff. So there's a bunch of really cool stuff in there. A bunch of great action set pieces in this game. You're always shooting against either bad guys or mutants, and it's really good game. I mean, these guns feel awesome in your hands. A lot of stealth mechanics as well too. This game is gruesome as hell. So like you'll come up behind a guy and he doesn't know you're there, and you do one of the stealth takedowns. You just take out your knife, you pull back his face, and you just like plunge the knife into his neck and just like rip it out. And he makes this awful gurgling sound where he's like basically like choking on his own blood. It's sick. It's totally sick, but it's also totally awesome. So the game has like a really good understanding of how vicious it should be, and it does not flinch, which is also really nice as well too. So I actually don't really have any problems with this game except for one. The game is so well put together, and it's thought about so well, and there's so much detail, and the story's fantastic, and there's opportunity to replay it as well too if you want to go back and get stuff that you missed, hear conversations that you didn't hear. You go to this city called Venice, and you sit down and you can watch this show, this play that opens up, right? It's totally optional, and this play lasts for like 15 minutes where they've got, can dancers and, a guy playing a guitar and he's singing about the metro, and then like another guy comes out with a mutant that he's trained and he has it jump from chair to chair, and then it freaks out and attacks some people in the back, and then they've got like a fire breather, and this thing goes on for 15 minutes. You get an achievement at the end for watching it, but it's really, really cool. I mean, there's so much detail in it. The area where this game pisses me off, and I kind of want Lloyd to jump in here too, so feel free. The representation of women in this game is abhorrent. So there's this girl, Anna, at the beginning, who is touted as the best sniper in the entire, Ranger squad, right? She goes out and helps you, and then when you meet up with her next, she helps you a little bit more, and then becomes your romantic interest out of nowhere. Her boob pops out or whatever, and then you have sex with her, and then she's like completely at your beck and call, totally, just brought down to this point where her power, whatever it was, has been completely taken away. And that's the only strong like woman character in this entire game. Every other woman character is either a stripper, a prostitute, a cook, or someone who's cleaning, and that is really stupid. I think right now there's a lot of scrutiny on the video game industry for being immature, and when stuff like that happens, it's totally appropriate to call that immature. And I'm going to talk about this later in the show. I've got another story that kind of correlates with this, but gamers get really mad and kind of like, they get their back up about stuff where you shouldn't be judging this as, this is my art, and, these guys, put work into it, and it's just the way they made it, and it's in like that in other media as well too, which is true. But if we want people to think of video games as a mature medium and as an art, shit like this has to go, because it's really, there's like a sequence where you're hunting down this guy who betrays you, and you find him in a strip club, and then all of a sudden, like the next second, you're getting a lap dance, and this stripper's titties are in your face and stuff, and she's shaking her ass in front of your face, and you're just like handing her money and stuff, and it's like, where did this come from? This is so stupid. There's no need for this to be in the game. This is something that's put there for like, teenagers and shit who don't know what the internet is or something. Like, it's just so bizarre, and it doesn't fill any facet of the story. It feels like it's there for, hey, we have this in our game so that maybe somebody will buy it. Somebody's going to hear about the stripper scene and the lap dance scene so that you can go and play it. So it's sad to see. It really is, you know?
I want to jump in a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it sucks, but gaming isn't the only medium where this happens. I mean,
no, you're totally right.
If you read any post-apocalyptic like literature, it's kind of the same thing. Like, women are only around to have sex with the guys and make them food, and it's that's the genre. I don't like that, but that's kind of the way it is. This is how they wanted to tell their story. I'm not saying that if a game comes out like that, it shouldn't exist, because they're allowed to tell their story any way they want.
Oh yeah, no, they totally are.
And if you look at any major movie that comes out, like any of the like summer big blockbusters, like females have horrible roles in these movies, and it just seems to be that's what people think that popular media wants for some strange unknown reason. I don't understand it. Hopefully the whole planet will mature, and things have gotten a lot better than they were 50 years ago. So hopefully it won't take another 50 years before this type of garbage goes away.
Yeah,
but I just wanted to jump in and say that, it's not just games,
sure.
because a lot of people are saying this is what's wrong with the gaming industry, and this is why females don't like games. And it's like, really? No, this is not the reason why females don't like games. There's other reasons why certain females don't like games. There's a lot of girls that play games. My daughter, for one, she loves video games, and she loves Barbies, and she loves other girly types of things, but she still plays video games. Games aren't a male-only pastime. But I just saw a lot of talking online about this being basically the downfall of our society, and it's like, whoa, that's taking a little bit far for how one person wants to tell a story. Yeah,
you're totally right there. This
it's a big brush to paint the whole entire industry, which is wrong.
Totally. And I'm guilty of it too. Like this just kind of this generalization, this like it's black and white kind of thing. And you're totally right. You have games like Fallout, which has a lot of strong female characters who are walking around with like massive guns, actual guns, and they're taking down super mutants and stuff like that. But then you have like a big subsect of that female population in that game who are, prostitutes and strippers, and like, it's just really, really strange. And I'm not saying that Metro is bad because of it, and quite frankly, I don't think they are. I don't think that this hurts the game in really any way. It's unfortunate to see. I just wish that someone had the balls to buck that trend. I think that
there's a lot of games that have really strong female leads, like Tomb Raider, like Portal. Like Portal's a poor example, but she's the only character you control in the game, and you're not over sexualized at all. Like, you're not even in the least bit sexualized. I'm seeing a lot of talk online, and it's kind of gone the other way, where it's like, oh my God, there's a woman in the game, and she's not the best character in the game. She's not the only one that does cool things. She doesn't do all the awesome stuff in the game, so therefore the developers are sexist, the industry's sexist. And that's totally not fair to say. There's a conversation to be had, but you got to be careful not to go too far the other way and be just totally blown out of proportion in your arguments. like I'm playing Far Cry 3 right now, and when you go to a city, the only females you see are prostitutes. And it's like, why does this exist?
Or the old ones begging for money.
Or the old ones selling you guns with a gun in your face, or begging for money, or prostitutes. It's like, that's really weird. All the guys are just sitting there drunk, passed out. So, I mean, that's just as bad a stereotype as prostitutes, I guess. But it's just like, why does this? Why do these set pieces and these NPCs have to kind of be like this in the games? And I mean, I think that's just the way stories have been told for so long, and hopefully that's not the only way stories are going to be told. I mean, you look at The Walking Dead. I mean, probably the strongest character in the game was a female, and all the other females in the game were fairly strong as well. So I just want to caution people for saying that the gaming industry is terrible in its portrayal of women. There are a lot of games that are, but I would say that there's just as many games that aren't. And I'm seeing a lot of arguments online right now about this, and it kind of drives me crazy. It's just like, really, have you not looked at all the other games that have come out? You're focusing on one thing. It's similar to U.S. politicians focusing on violent video games and then bringing up Mortal Kombat and bringing up Duke Nukem. It's like,
well, stupid when they say that, right?
It's like, well, yeah, you're focusing on a small little tiny pinpoint of the industry, the really, really top of the pyramid, but there's this huge other part that isn't like that at all.
I think the real question that should be asked is not that, when there's a situation like that in a game, right? Whoever had the idea to make this stripper scene in this game, or the prostitutes inside of the Far Cry 3 world, what was the decision that, why did you make that decision? Why couldn't they be doing something else, or just not in the game at all? What does it add to the game that makes it better? Because a lot of the time, the stripper scene, for instance, is stupid, and it does take away from the game, because you are on this completely hell-bent quest for blood, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I might need a lap dance and then to, get high as well too, because you can do that in the same scene. It's a really silly sequence, but it definitely takes you out. And I feel like the decision to make that a sequence in the game was a stupid decision. But it just kind of brings you out of that one part. It's extremely weird.
For sure. I mean, it's like when you look at any Western, the females in any Western media are people that work at the whorehouse. And it's just like, well, there was obviously other females there. They weren't all like farmers, and they weren't all teachers. There was other women that were just there. Like if you look at Deadwood, like all the characters were prostitutes, and it's just like that's I guess they try to tell the story of like someone that is forced to do this to make ends meet, but really has a heart of gold, and I kind of get that archetype. But yeah, it's used a little bit too often for my liking anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's like they go into this big bag of like, okay, we need a spot to fill. It's post-apocalyptic. Well, okay, so we'll just do the trope that women are prostitutes and that there's no strong female characters. That second part's definitely not on that sheet, but they'll throw that in there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, just put that in there, and then we'll also have when it's really friggin' dark, your flashlight will run out of batteries, that kind of shit. They just go into this big bag of tropes that they need to fill up game spots, and those are the ones they go to. And that's why we see them so often.
Yeah.
I do feel like you, that people are maybe attacking way too hardcore every single game that comes out that has to, all of these game developers are sexist. Because I actually watched the credits, and there was, maybe 35% of those people on that team were female. Mm. And, it's not like all of those women didn't get to make decisions on the creative direction of that game. So
sure. And the argument that women aren't going to get into the gaming industry because they see a game like this is just like, well, women get into the film industry, women write novels, women like there's these types of these types of stories are told in every medium, and it seems like for right now there's probably because I'm super into the whole gaming scene. Like I follow it more than any other scene, more than movies, more than books, more than any other popular media. You just see all the arguments popping out, and it's just like, well, there's a story to be told, there's a question to be asked, but jumping to some strange conclusions maybe isn't the most maybe it isn't the best way to start the argument. Maybe there's better ways to start this conversation. But yeah, this game really raised a lot of hair on a lot of different people, and there was a lot of really hateful articles. And it's just like, wow, okay. Well, when you look at the Old West, what was one of the first things that was set up? There was a saloon, and what was right beside the saloon? I mean, that's kind of how that's how the world was. And when in a post-apocalyptic world, it's more akin to the Old West than it is to any other society that we would know as people that have seen our history. So I can kind of see it, and you maybe have to look at it a little bit that way than the developers just trying to demean all women out there.
It's certainly a lot to buy for like, if you were trying to make the argument to me that the developers of Metro Last Light,
hate women.
4K
you
Studios.
Heard it here first.
Hate women. That is just bonkers to me. But did they make some poor choices about the representation of women? Yeah, and I feel like there are thousands, tens of thousands of video games who make those. Leisure Suit Larry. I mean, that's actually that shouldn't even be in the same argument because that game is just so freaking stupid.
Well, yeah. Anyway, that's a different argument, and it's stupid, but some people say it's stupid. I like that game. I like that franchise.
Really?
but it exists. It exists to serve a purpose. I mean, that's the type of game that it is. I mean, if you change any part of the game, it wouldn't be Leisure Suit Larry. And it doesn't say that there aren't women that enjoy it, because I know a lot of women that played the game as well.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about two more things.
It's over
about
the top.
This. Yeah,
done over the top.
It's totally over the top. Yeah, it's hard for it to be offensive when it's so friggin' stupid.
Especially when the person that gets it the worst is Larry. So the star of the game never wins, right?
Yeah. So I want to move on from that point because we're going to talk about it just at the end of the show. But there's a few more things I want to talk about. There are two endings to this game, both of which are extremely interesting in the way that they kind of set up. If there's going to be a next one, they don't make that certain here. This is a very defined, encapsulated ending, which I really like, that they kind of wrote this story with a period at the end instead of a question mark. Both endings ask some extremely, extremely good questions of that universe and of you as the controller of the player. But they're both really, really cool. And then the last thing I want to talk about, there is this controversy with the Ranger mode. So this is the downloadable content or the pre-order bonus that costs $5. And Ranger mode is touted as the way the game was meant to be played. And it's something that you had to pay extra for if you didn't pre-order the game. So that pissed a lot of people off, and rightfully so. Basically, it's this extremely hardcore difficulty where you have very little ammo all the time, very little money, very little health kits, and I believe your batteries last. They don't last as long, and your filters don't last as long. So it's like the hardcore mode, the survival horror mode, if you will. But it's total bullshit that they were like, this is going to be downloadable content, day one DLC. The game that I had the code in it, but I didn't use it because I didn't really feel like pissing myself off all that much. The game is pretty difficult on normal as it is. But yeah, it's just totally bonkers that they offered this as day one DLC or a pre-order bonus. And they put it's on every piece of marketing. The way the game was meant to be played. Why is that not worth $60? Like, that's just the most bullshit excuse. And they came out afterwards and said, this was something that had been set and decided before we had finished the game, so we couldn't really change it after everybody was, all mad and stuff like that. And it's just a really poor excuse, and I hope we never see shit like this again. They caught a lot of flack for it, and not very many people bought it, which is good. We finally voted with our wallets for a change. But it's that's the only really bad spot, other than the couple of really stupid scenes in the game. It's a fantastic game. I think everybody should go out and play it. It's totally worth the money. don't bother buying the Ranger mode unless you're like, a masochist, because it'll totally make you want to rip your face off. But yeah, Metro Last Light, phenomenal game, unbelievable attention to detail on this one, and I really, really enjoyed playing it. So again, thanks to PMP for sponsoring this review, and definitely head down there tomorrow and pick that game up because it is really worth playing.
Cool.
Done.
Awesome. Sorry, I was just we're chatting in the chat room. This
You talking about me? What are you talking about?
No, it's struck a nerve with some people. The conversation
Okay.
that we had has struck a nerve. So
That's good.
yes,
I like it when we strike nerves. If you have an opinion on what we were just talking about there, let us know.
yeah, definitely.
Because we would love to hear from you. vgpodcast@gmail.com. I was going to say gmail.com at vgpodcast for some weird reason.
That won't work.
It won't work.
No.
Don't send an email to that one.
vgpodcast@gmail.com will work in stark comparison to the one that won't work. That one will work. It's black and white, Jeff. Just like back to our conversation, you're a very black and white person.
Yeah.
Things
By
are
the
either
way,
the best or they're the worst. There's no gray.
So I was eating cashews before the show. My opinion on cashews is, this is the bonus stage exclusive review on cashews. Cashews are the best nut by far. Agree or disagree, let us know, vgpodcast@gmail.com. Lloyd, actually, he said he liked cashews. I don't think he said they were the best nut. I think he was trying to instill in me that there's a gray area when it comes to different kinds of nuts. You get your peanuts and your pistachios, your Brazil nuts.
The best nut is mixed nuts because you get a little bit of everything.
I don't want mixed nuts. Okay, I've got two people right now, Corkadog and Steven, in the they're saying that the cashews are the best.
That's the only nut we ever have in our house is cashews. We buy the big tubs at Costco. And
macadamia? What? I want to kick this guy out of the chat room for even just suggesting macadamia. Like, I'm going to assume that.
Why is this a conversation, by the way, Jeff?
Because it is. I'm going to assume that from saying macadamia, Canon Shane is an 85-year-old woman who loves bunt cake or something like that.
Wow. See, look at perpetuating stereotypes. You were just going off on them at Metro Last Light, but it's okay for you to say that he's a woman because he likes macadamia nuts.
An 85-year-old woman.
But is that any different? You're saying that only women.
Grandmas love macadamias. He likes cashews as well. Yeah, he's going to backpedal now because I'm busting on him for liking macadamia nuts.
Oh boy! All right, let's get into the news. Started up. The first one is there's a new Humble Bundle out. There's actually two new Humble Bundles. There's the main Humble Bundle is what they're calling Humble Indie Bundle 8. You get Hotline Miami, Proteus, Little Inferno, Awesome Knots, Capsize, Thomas Was Alone, and Dear Escher for Esther. For if you pay the minimum right now to get all the games is $5.64. That's the average price. If you beat the average, you get Hotline Miami and Proteus. Otherwise, you get the other 5 games. Super amazing bundle. They've already sold over $1.5 million worth of bundles right now, which is really crazy and awesome. But Humble Bundle is also doing weekly sales. Every week they have a different sale. So for another 5 days, you can get this week's Humble Weekly Sale, which is their Telltale bundle. So if you pay over $4.25, you get The Walking Dead, The Back to the Future, Sam & Max Devil's Playhouse, Poker Night at the Inventory, Hector, Puzzle Agent, and Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventure. So these 7 Telltale games for $4.25. It is asinine how cheap this is. The weekly sale before this one was Alan Wake, and you could actually get both Alan Wake games for $1 and get a Steam code for them. Like, these sales are just stupid, and this is why Steam is awesome.
Alan Wake is worth $60. If you can get it for 1/60th of that price, you're a damn fool.
And you get both games. You get Alan Wake 1 and the sequel.
American Nightmare was okay.
Sequel-ish.
Yeah, you got to be really into Alan Wake to find any kind of redeemable content on that. I struggled on whether or not I thought the game was good or not. Because you go back to the same place every time you beat the game, and then you go back to the beginning and do it again, and then do it again, and do it again. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Alan Wake, the original, is fantastic.
It's a great deal. Check it out over at humblebundle.com.
I really want to play Dear Esther, but I don't believe it's out for the Mac right now. I think they're working on a Linux port right now.
I think it's available. If you buy the bundle, it's on Steam. I believe it's Mac.
I'm sure my computer would just shit its pants if I tried to play it, though. I really want to play it. It's
Yeah.
like it's a story. It's like a first-person game, and you're just collecting letters and kind of like getting over some grief or so. Like
Yeah, it's a very emotional game.
Yeah.
It's one person's emotional journey.
Yeah, I threw from Milan to Minsk.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's a Seinfeld reference, right?
I know.
You got it. Okay.
I know. I'm trying to see. It doesn't list it. I'm pretty sure it is available to play on the Mac. I believe all the games are playable on PC and Mac, and then some of them are not Steam or not Linux versions available in Steam yet.
Gotcha.
Yep. So check it out, humblebundle.com. All right, moving on. We're gonna sort of divvy up our news. We'll do a little bit of Sony. We'll do a little bit of Microsoft. We'll do a little bit of other stuff. News came out this week, which is awesome. Jeff, don't sell that Vita that you have in your hands right now, playing baseball, I'm sure. Because Sony has said that every PlayStation 4 game will be playable on your PlayStation Vita unless it requires custom hardware like the PlayStation Eye camera or any other custom hardware. So developers...
Which is weird because the thing has a camera in it as well. But I guess I understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah, because the game is actually running on your PlayStation 4 and then being sent to you. So they wouldn't be able to do that way because they wouldn't be able to take the camera feed, go back and forth.
Yeah.
So what that means is that the off-screen play that you can do on the Wii U, every single game that comes out will be playable on your Vita. This makes me
pretty cool.
Very, very damn happy. This makes me think that I might actually start using my Vita.
Well, here's the thing. It also adds fire or fuel to the fire of the PlayStation 4 being more gamer-centric, and more maybe worth my money come around November. I've basically told myself at this point that there is no way that I'm going to buy either console at launch. I'm going to wait for them to, even though we do this show and it's probably something I should do, I'm just not going to even risk wasting that kind of money. But okay, Steven said Dear Esther on Mac confirmed. So cool. I might actually try to pick that up. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I wonder what because they didn't say here, but what the distance is, how far can you be? Can I take it with me to work or something?
It's probably on the Wi-Fi network, so you'd have to be on the local Wi-Fi network.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't think that you'd be able to be at work playing across your slow-ass internet to your home console, because that wouldn't be a very good experience. But they haven't said, so who knows? Maybe they'll virtualize this stuff on their servers in the PlayStation Cloud, and then you're getting the video that way. Like, who knows?
Because at this point, if this being true, right? This is like right out of the horse's mouth here. This technology revolutionizes pooping now in the 21st century. I mean, now the PlayStation Vita is the choice for gamers who poop a lot, because I mean, you could play your game on the PS4, and then I gotta go to the bathroom, and you take your Vita with you, and boom, you're playing a game. I mean, that's rad. Nice. I'm not even joking about that. That is a serious perk. I mean, like that is a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I can watch the baseball game if you prefer.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, every single game playable, every single PlayStation 4 game that doesn't require hardware playable on your Vita,
Very
on
cool.
the toilet or off. Either or, you can choose. Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice.
So that's some awesome news from the PlayStation front. Pretty much everybody that was criticizing Microsoft basically then went to Sony and said, hey, Microsoft is kind of crap in the bed right now. Well, how about all these things that we're asking of them? Why don't you tell us what you're doing? So I saw some articles on Kotaku, some on Joystick, and they basically are asking, are you going to have DRM? Do you support used games? Do you do this? Do you do that? And basically all Sony is saying is we're not ready to provide any clarification beyond what has already been stated with the PlayStation 4. So that doesn't make me super confident that the PlayStation 4 will support used games.
I feel like at this point, every day they're getting together and saying, what do we make? Like they're just doing like flowchart after flowchart of making this decision. Like the only thing that they've really answered with any certainty, and even then it's very gray answer, is they did say, and this was last night, a Sony representative did say that, or sorry, not last night. This was something that they answered earlier. Sony Game Studios chief Shuhei Yoshida told reporters that that any requirement for users to register a game online in order to play it would be left to game publishers. Sony itself won't require that. So that's talking about their used game system kind of, and how the game gets registered to a console, much like the Xbox One will require. That's not really an answer. It's a pretty good answer, but it's also like, okay, well, you probably know how many developers are going to want to do that, but they're not going to throw them under the bus.
Well, it's probably left up to the developers. It's just like right now when you sign into Mass Effect 3, it connects to the servers, it downloads some data, galactic readiness. If those servers were down, who knows if your game would even be playable? Like if the Mass Effect 3 servers are down, who knows? It's just like playing an old EA Sports title and trying to play it online. The servers are down, you can't play it online. They're probably just covering their bases saying it that way, that developers could require something, but we're not going to enforce it, that all developers have to require it.
Yeah, it's... I mean, these are questions that we want answered so badly. But the thing is, it's silly to want these answers right away because we can't buy this thing for another 5 months. And
but it's gonna like Canon Shane in the chat room is saying he's putting money down on his PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4, and then he's slowly adding to his pre-order so that he doesn't have to pay $5 million on launch day to get all the stuff that he wants. And a lot of people are going to use that as kind of a decision. Can we play used games? Can I trade games with friends? All right, this is the console for me.
I feel like it's so risky to buy into this new technology. I think it's, and this, I don't be one of these like conspiracy guys that, thinks that the gaming companies are out to get us because they want our money. They're going to try to do things right by us in at least some regard. But I feel like this more than any is the riskiest time to be an early adopter because there's so much new technology and so many new ways of monitoring all these systems that unless we're 100% concrete, you could get burned day one, and it just seems like, we need to, I personally need to figure out every little nuance of this box, whatever it's going to be, PS4, Xbox One. And right now I'm leaning towards PS4 heavily because of the fact that they've told us that it's going to play games and not just TV.
Yeah, exactly. One other thing that came out this week that might kind of goes along with what you're saying is one of the Sony execs was actually trolling the internet. Was saying, yeah, we have DRM on the PlayStation 4, and that's a new game that's coming out called DRM. That's the initials for it. Devil. I can't even remember what it is, but it's
some sort of manta ray game.
Yeah,
it was very funny.
The Lamasoft dude is doing it, and it's just like, yeah, that's awesome. And that if then they come out at E3 and say, yep, we have used game protections in the system, you can't put used games in, that people that were laughing at this joke are going to be like, what the hell, you were trolling us, and that will probably come back to bite Sony in the butt. So so maybe that was kind of a I guess. Maybe they said that there isn't going to be DRM by joking that it is going to have DRM. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Like E3 is going to be really interesting. We'll see what it is. For me, I'm leaning heavily on the PlayStation side. Just the whole thought, like I don't watch TV. Having this box that is focused around having multiple inputs and switching back and forth, I don't get any benefit from that. I don't want to have I don't want to have a camera and microphone always on my house. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have kids running around all the time playing, and not to say that someone could hack in because it's probably very unlikely that could ever happen. But just the fact that
I wouldn't say that.
Well, yeah, because it's pretty unlikely that someone could hack into some Microsoft servers and then remotely turn on the camera and watch someone's house from their data center. Very unlikely that could ever happen, but it's still possible.
Like, the PSN network got taken down to its knees,
right? But they weren't able to contact your actual PlayStation and read stuff or look through your PlayStation Eye. Like just because it's always online for the system doesn't mean that it's always online feeding data back to some central server. Who knows?
It is freaky though.
Yeah, just the fact that there's always a microphone in my house listening to what I say, like. And it's Microsoft, so it's running Windows 8, essentially, the Windows 8 kernel. So who knows what kind of viruses could potentially maybe make their way onto this device. Very unlikely, but it's possible.
Yeah.
That whole idea, the fact that you don't own your games anymore on this console is also another thing to me. Like I have this thing of plastic behind me. If I want to play a game from my PlayStation 2, I take the game disc out, I put it in a PlayStation, whether on my PlayStation 3 is backwards compatible, but if I didn't, I could put it in a PlayStation 2, I could play the game. I have cartridges from my N64 and my NES. I take them, I put them in my system, I play the game. I like that. The Xbox One is the first console that has ever come out where when this system is off the market, the games go with it. Like there is nothing that you can do with them. They're gone. The last generation, you had WiiWare, you had Xbox Live Arcade, and you had PSN, where if your console goes away, those games disappear, but you still had physical discs that would always be playable. Doesn't matter. Like the games on your Xbox 360 work even if you don't have an Xbox Live connection. So in 10 years, if you could find an Xbox 360 that works, you could put the disc in and you could play your game.
Yeah.
This new generation on Xbox side, at least, that is no longer the case because you put the disc in, all it does is it copies the data from the disc to the hard drive. The hard drive does all the authentication, whether you can run it or not. That kind of worries me because I like playing games like 10 years after they've been out, 20 years after they've been out. And there's a good chance that will not be possible with this system. Once the Xbox 2 comes out or Xbox whatever comes out, the next one, the servers that authenticate all the Xbox One games aren't going to be sticking around forever. Maybe they'll last a year or two, and then Microsoft will eventually flip the switch, and you won't be able to play your games. That kind of scares me. PlayStation, since they're not requiring it, they've come out and said that. That means that the discs that you're buying today, you'll be, well, not today, in November or December, you'll be able to play those games in 20 years because if you could find a PlayStation 4, because they're not requiring this DRM that phones home. Who knows? Maybe they'll come out and they'll say that we were misquoted or whatever, and maybe that will indeed be the case. But I'm leaning more towards PlayStation just because of that, and also the fact that they are really focusing on gamers. Like they're designing a system to play games, not designing a system to win in the living room like Microsoft is doing right now.
Well, I mean, I think that they are, but they showcase the gaming side first,
I think
was a smart move.
No, I don't think they're at all designing a system to win the living room. They're not designing. They're not designing the system like the Microsoft that has TV, video chat, Xbox Live, all the stuff built into one box so that you only ever have to have your TV on one input. The PlayStation is never going to be that box.
That we don't know that for sure.
What don't we know for sure?
We don't know that for sure that the Sony box won't have a cable input thing because we haven't seen it. We don't know the inputs. We don't know that it's going to not function. But
they've come out and said that they're not talking about TV at all. They're not talking about TV at E3. We're talking about games.
Yeah, but I mean, E3 is about games, right? I mean, the thing is that they could have like another press conference, or it could just be part of the thing, you know?
Okay.
It could just be there.
Sure. Potentially, they might talk about this box might have a feed in for your cable. I would say it's probably 99.9% chance that won't happen, but there is a chance. So you're right. But the way it is now, Sony is developing a system for games. They're not developing a system that is for everything else and gaming. And that makes me happy. That's what I want because I'm someone that buys these boxes to play games.
I understand what you're saying, and like you're not wrong, but I feel like because all we know from Sony is that it's going to be focused on games and stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff in the PS3 right now that vies for competition in your living room as being that box that you go to. You know, it has Netflix on it. It has video players.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. What Microsoft is designing is they're designing a box that is HDMI input 1 on your television. So you turn on your television, that is the only thing you ever have because your TV flows through it. Everything else that you want to do is available on that box. They want to own the living room. They've been trying to do that for 8 years. When they first started talking about
since the original Xbox, really.
Since the 360, they said that they're gonna come together with all of these content providers in the States. They're going to provide set-top boxes. They had a pilot for IPTV. So you'd have an Xbox 360 that was basically your cable box. They've been trying to do this forever because they think that is the place that they're going to win. They're going to basically own your living room. So that means that every purchase will then flow through Microsoft. They want what Apple has right now on iOS, where if you buy music, video, or an app, Apple gets a cut. Microsoft wants that for your living room. They're focusing on it as that. We want to win the living room. They've come out and said it numerous times at numerous different press conferences.
Okay, yeah.
Sony is coming out and saying, we're making a game system. We're making a game system for the gamers. They're not coming at it as we want to attack and own everything. They're saying we want you to play this because you love games.
Yeah. I get you're saying there, like the fact that Microsoft from the beginning there has really tried to structure them as being the, if we could attach a TV to this thing that we would sell you as well too, then we would. But I am reminded that the slogan for the PS3 is that it only does everything, which I think should be taken into account. I believe that
what?
Sony.
We're talking about the PlayStation 4 though, not the PlayStation 3.
I know, but I'm just saying that I think that ideal carries forward. I don't think that it's set in stone yet.
Sure.
I feel like, it's still a coin toss.
If the PlayStation 4 has HDMI, an HDMI import, and will allow you to watch your television through the device, I will take you out for a steak dinner, because I am so sure that will not happen, because Sony would not ever want to do that.
And I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying that I think it will. I'm just saying that the jury is out for me. I don't think I have enough information to make that call yet.
Okay, but
I know that you're very confident in it.
No, I'm talking right now about knowledge that is out there. We know that Xbox is doing it. Sony has said that they're making a system just to play games. That to me means that they're making a system just to play games.
That's fair then. Based on the information that we have now, then it is 100% safe to say that Sony is making a game box and Microsoft is making a TV box that plays games. I can agree with you on that.
Okay, but I sense a but coming on because you want to argue.
Well, no, like I said, based on the information we have now, for sure, I would agree with you 100%.
We don't have to agree. This is my feelings. You don't have to agree with my feelings, Jeff. Please leave my feelings alone, Jeff. Let me have my own opinions.
I agree.
I don't have to agree with you.
I agree.
You don't have to agree with me.
I know, but I agree with you based on the information we have today at this point, because that information says exactly what you're saying. My feeling is we're going to get more information in the future that will take away from what you believe. I feel like that. That's what I feel.
You can feel that way, but I said I'm pretty sure that it won't happen, and if it does happen, I will take you out for a steak dinner.
Okay, do I have to take you out?
No, you don't have to do anything, because
then I'm in.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. I'm giving you a hard time, but I'm also saying I don't see this happening. There's no future state of this planet that we live on where I can see that this will ever happen. That's just not the way Sony plays. They have their own movie studio. They have their own music studios. That they would want people to buy all their content that way. They don't want you to watch television through it, because that costs them money where you could be paying for their content like an iTunes model. It just doesn't make sense to them to do it that way. They want all the money. They don't want you to watch TV somewhere else and then not get any of that cash, except through the licensing deals that were signed for pennies on the dollar.
Sony does have their hands in a lot more pies than Microsoft does in that game.
Sure.
I just wanted to quickly touch on one thing before we move on to the next story. I read this and I didn't put it in the show notes, but when you were talking about how you were a little bit nervous or a little bit wary of the Kinect sensor, the civil liberty director of Australia, Tim Vines,
and
is actually,
Germany's doing stuff as well.
Yeah. They're I don't really think they're filing a lawsuit, but they're actually trying to figure out if there's some sort of legal precedent here that says, because in his opinion, this is an invasion of privacy, and I think that's really cool. I wonder if that's going to blossom into something, because
it totally is, because the system will not function without it. It's crazy. If you want to be even more scared about the content that is or the hardware that is going to be in Xbox One, just go to Wired and do a search for Xbox One. They put up a really interesting article about what the Xbox One camera can do. It can tell what you're looking at. It can tell what your expressions are. It can tell if you're smiling, if you're happy, if you're excited, if you're sad. It can figure out where all your fingers are on your hands. It can figure out what you're pointing at, if you're flexing, if you're not. it can tell pretty much everything about you just by having that camera. And this camera is always on, whether it's going to be looking at this stuff, who knows? But the fact that they could be watching you while you watch TV. So I'm watching Game of Thrones. And someone's head gets cut off, and I get really excited because it's like, holy crap, this guy's head got cut off. The Xbox One could be sitting there looking at that, figuring out what station I'm watching because I selected that channel on the guide, and say, HBO, this person really likes violent content, so you should maybe bring out more violent shows. Like they could mark it down towards you, basically on everything that you like about a show. Do you get flushed and excited when certain clothing comes on TV? Well, maybe they want to start marketing that line to you in ads on the side. Like they can get like super scary information from you. And Microsoft really probably won't do that, but the fact that this device can do that, it just makes me want to sit back and say, hey, do I really want this in my life? Like, it's bad enough that I have a phone with me wherever I go. And if someone wanted to, if Apple wanted to, they could see my daily journeys and see where I am.
Well, the thing
this is
about
worse because it's in the privacy of my own home.
Totally.
And it's not just me, it's my whole family. I have kids. Like, I don't want my kids to be spied on.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't even really have anything like to lose.
No.
But but it freaks me out. It really does freak me out a little bit,
and it's not that I'm doing illegal stuff in the background. Like I don't.
No, yeah,
I'm not.
You don't want somebody watching, or the potential to have someone watch you.
Yeah, I just like I don't want to support this type of technology. So I hope Microsoft comes out and is very clear on what the system can and cannot do, and what is actually happening when it's in standby mode. And people are saying, yeah, throw a camera or a towel over your camera, and it's like, yeah, like, I could do that.
Have to do that,
but the fact that I can't turn it off means that, I mean, that's to me that stinks. That would be like having my webcam on my laptop all the time, always listening. The video and the audio is always on, and people could potentially tap into it since it's on a laptop, or Apple could be monitoring that, right? Like, yeah, like it's that's an invasion of privacy that I don't want to support. So
yeah,
anyway,
I mean, the thing about it is too, is like you get all this extremely specific metadata about how people respond to certain, because the camera is so sensitive and it has to be doing something with that information. Mm-hmm. There is no shortage, and I have firsthand knowledge of how much money advertising companies and firms will spend to get information like that, because then they can make extremely direct and specific advertisements that will, you go on Facebook right now, right? And it takes the keywords of the shit that you put in your status, and it will make advertisements on the sideboard.
Or even worse, if you're using Gmail, it scans your email. Apple doesn't, Google doesn't store that information. They don't look at your email, but it scans that, and through a computer algorithm, it figures out what they should be advertising for you. So if you have a lot of emails coming into you that you're buying a house, well, you start getting stuff for furniture and carpet cleaning and movers, and it's just like, well, how do you know that? Well, because all that email is coming in. Now this is taking that to the next level, because you're in your house. Like, is it going to start listening to you? Like the microphone's going to be on, capturing stuff when you're watching sports or when you're watching movies? Is it going to watch you while you're watching a movie and start sending that data back to the movie manufacturer or the movie producer? So you like this part, you yawned at the 3-minute mark, you cross your arms at the 5-minute mark. And the fact that they're doing that, that doesn't scare me, but the fact that they're going to then take this data and sell it to someone else, and I get no benefit from that makes me kind of angry.
I mean, if you sign up for something like Nielsen ratings, like they give you perks for, giving them that information and hooking up boxes to your TV and stuff like that, because they're in your friggin' house, like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're asking for how many people are in your house? What are the ages of them? What are the genders of them? What do they like to do? What are they watching? All that kind of shit that's very invasive, but people are giving that away to be compensated. In this section, we don't. It's just totally out of control.
Yeah, like, again, I'm not being Mr. Paranoid, and I don't think this is all going to happen, but this is all stuff that could happen. And I don't want to be marketed to anymore. I don't want them to start scraping personal data from me and selling it to advertisers. It's like when you get a Safeway card, they don't give you deals because they want to give you deals. They take all of your purchasing habits and then they sell it. Yeah. And that's why you get a deal. Well, this is basically a Safeway card in your living room that you don't get a deal for. They just take that data and sell it and make more money. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just don't want to support that yet. We'll see what Microsoft comes out at E3, and maybe they're going to change their mind and say that, yeah, okay, fine, we're going to have an option where you can turn everything off, because everybody is up in arms about it.
And I would be really happy with that. I think a lot of people would be. I think that it's wise of them to use the name Xbox One, because their original name of Xbox Skynet I don't think would have flew all that well because of all this weird shit, you know.
Yes, exactly. So yeah. Anyway, that was a huge rat hole.
Yeah, we really fell into that one, didn't we?
But yeah, like I'm at this point, I'm more a PlayStation 4 buyer than I am an Xbox One buyer. We'll see what happens after E3. All right, moving on. Next story. Guacamelee did really, really well. They sold a heck of a lot more copies than they thought they would. So much so that they're planning a DLC for the game. And they're also talking about potentially coming out with a sequel. They say they don't know yet for sure, but that is definitely up there. They haven't made decisions either way, is what they say. So there was a whole story up on Polygon that basically discussed how this game was funded, where the idea came from, how they were actually able to make it, and this just shows kind of Sony supporting independent game developers and really giving them all the tools to succeed. And at the Xbox event, after the Xbox event, a bunch of Microsoft execs said that, yeah, no, you can't self-publish games, blah, blah, blah. So I wanted to bring that into the next story where just 2 days ago, Microsoft has backtracked and said that indies are very important to Xbox One. So they're already backtracking on some of the stuff that was said after. I love indie games. Personally, that's where I'm playing lots of games. I love the diversity of the characters, stories, and play styles. And this is from, who's this from?
Don Matrick.
Was it Don Matrick? I think it was Spencer. I think it was.
It was. Yeah. Sorry, Don Matrick is quoted later on.
So Phil Spencer comes on here. Yeah, we want to make the television screen a home for more content diversity and a business model. Size of content. Look at the 360 in our history, investing in games like Braid, Limbo, and Castle Crashers, and Trials. I think the team has done a nice job of identifying small indie developers and bringing those games to the Xbox. So they're backtracking a little bit. They don't want to piss off the indies they might have deals with, but they're also not really backtracking at all, because on the PlayStation you don't have to have a publisher. On the Xbox you have to have a publisher, and that's the main stumbling block right now, because independent developers that are making games for the PlayStation can potentially own their IP, own everything for like ever.
Which is not what you want when you pour your heart and your soul as like one person or a very small team of people working on something.
No, so
you don't just want to be
I said when you do on the PlayStation that you do own everything forever.
Exactly.
So,
yes. Yeah.
And you want that. On the
yes.
Xbox, you have to go through a publisher. So you have to find someone that will publish your game, and then who knows what kind of deal you're going to get from them. Do they own your IP? Do they have publishing rights? It's just limiting kind of what independent developers can do. It's also a lot more expensive to get things certified on the Xbox. So yeah, they're not really.
They did also say that they are making that cost significantly less in this iteration of consoles. They didn't say what the number was, but they did say it was significantly less than before. Now, that said, the more hoops they have to jump through, the more that cost doubles and triples and then becomes what it was in the original.
Well, when you look at Fez, like they had a save game deleting bug. They came out with a patch for it, and Microsoft wanted to charge them, like, I think it was like $45,000 for certification for the patch. And they basically said, yeah, if we do this, we're not going to make any money. So no, we're not putting this patch out. We know that there is a bug that is going to break the game for a certain percentage of people. It's going to cost us too much money because of Microsoft's fees for us to fix it.
15 grand or something?
I thought it was 45.
Holy shit.
It was a lot. I think that's what it was. Yeah, it's stupid. On the PlayStation, I don't believe any of those costs are there. On Wii, on the Wii U, they're making it even easier. I don't believe patches cost anything to certify on the Wii U. So they really are supporting independent developers that way as well.
Which is really nice. You know, on PS3 as well, really nice. Just happens to be notoriously difficult to develop anything for. So there's like this weird yin and yang. You're like, well, I mean,
not so much anymore. They have
that's true,
you have Unity, you have
it's become
you have Unreal Engine. You don't have to write your own engine if you don't want anymore. When it first came out, it was definitely more difficult. Okay, So yeah, Microsoft backtracked a little bit, but really didn't. So we'll hear more about that at E3, I'm sure. You talked about Metro Last Light. You did the review. It did really good. The developers are saying that its first week retail sales, they eclipsed the lifetime US totals for Metro 2033.
Which doesn't surprise me because it was a very undersold game. In fact, when they announced that they were making a sequel, I was like, I thought the first one flopped. Like, how do they have money to go back and make a second one? But it was a new publisher, so.
Yeah, exactly. But how cool is that? Like
Very
one week sales, like sells more than all like lifetime sales in the US on that. So that's really good. It's a game that I want to play. Like your review made me even want to play it more. I can't wait
totally
I can't wait to dive in and pick it up once I have more time.
It's cool. It's I mean, if you didn't get it from my review, I really liked it.
Awesome. Okay, moving on. EA is getting rid of all their online passes. They kind of announced that a while ago, but they're taking that a step further right now. So when you get a new game that has an online pass, you don't actually have to register it. And if you already own a game that had an online pass that you bought used, that you didn't pay the $10 for, you can basically buy that pass for free now. You can go to the store and just download it for free. So
cool.
Any of the multiplayer stuff that is locked out, you can get it now for free. So this makes me...
Tomb Raider now I can play because I bought that game used, and now I can... Which was stupid. Like I ended up buying it for like $5 less than retail. Which is a stupid decision.
Yeah.
But I mean, that $5 would have covered the. It was a weird choice, right? It's like, okay, do I save $5 because I'm really only interested in the campaign? Do I spend an extra $5 and effectively buy the pass, but just give my money to somebody else? It was really weird. Yeah, but now I can play Tomb Raider multiplayer and get on the bandwagon of everybody saying it sucks.
Was the Tomb Raider pass $5? I thought it was $10.
Was it 10?
I think all these online passes are $10.
Oh wow, that's insane. I've never actually been in the position where I needed to buy one, so I never knew how much they cost. $10 is insane.
Yep. Yeah,
especially for everybody says that Tomb Raider sucks.
Yeah, it's horrible, but it's a way to fight used game sales, because usually games sell for $5 less, so they price the online mode at $10 to get people to spend that extra $5 to buy the new copy. But
yeah,
they won't have to do that anymore because apparently you can't play used games on any console.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of when they came up with this story, everybody's like, oh man, EA listen to us. And then after Xbox One's event, we're like, those sons of bitches. Like, they just made themselves look great, full well knowing that they just aren't going to have to do it anymore. Now, does this mean that they're aware that PlayStation is they're going to just completely, because PlayStation is going to give it the option to EA is going to be like, oh yeah, lock it the hell down? Or are they going to give PlayStation a pass? That's my question.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I really hope Sony isn't stupid, but you never know. If that's the way that the market is going, that's
if their track record is going to show anything.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that right now they're not the leader anymore, so they're going to do everything that they can to become the leader again, where Microsoft has the lead to lose. So usually you make stupider decisions when you're already in first place, and then you drop to second place. I mean, that's what Sony did with the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 2 just destroyed everything else, and then they got too full of themselves, made some mistakes, and then the PlayStation 3 didn't do so well. Now you have Sony with the 360, which definitely won this generation of consoles. They have to do all the right things if they want to keep that up, but they're already making mistakes. So
well, I mean, and you said it last week, and we'll talk about it for weeks and weeks. Sony has it so easy right now in so many regards. They just be like, oh, we're doing the opposite of what they're doing. We're doing the opposite of what they're doing. And all they got to do is keep saying that about specific things. And, you'll see the dollars roll in, or at least I feel like you'll see the dollars roll in, but just take a stand, Sony. Just take a stand. It'd be so easy. It's like sitting there and all you got to do is take it. And you won't take it yet. It boggles the mind. If I was the head of Sony Entertainment, right, for the PlayStation, and Xbox One event happened, a couple of hours later, I'd be like, oh yeah, opposite. That's us. Opposite, baby. Come over to Sony, because you'll get a lot of fans.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. E3 is going to be really fun, especially since Microsoft goes first.
Oh yeah, it'll be like Xbox One event part 2. It'll be so strange.
Exactly. All right, moving on. It's getting close to E3, and what that means is that stuff happens where things get leaked out by accident. Like accidents happen.
Stuff happens.
Well, I didn't want to say people F up.
That's true. Well, I mean,
but that's exactly what happened here.
Are they F ups? Like, I always feel like these leaks are very, very calculated.
Something like this, I think, is more of an F up than
this one, definitely, because of how quickly it came off.
Yeah, exactly. So today, there was a help page that someone found on EA's website for a game called Mirror's Edge 2. And then people found about it and started posting online, and it disappeared as quickly as it appeared.
Yeah,
so
within like 5 hours, I think it was gone.
Yeah, totally. So a lot of leaks definitely are set up. I don't think this one is, because people found out through kind of an accident of just stumbling onto this game page. But I guess this means that EA is going to be talking about a sequel to Mirror's Edge at
which
E3.
I couldn't be happier for, because I'm a massive Mirror's Edge fan. I love that game.
Yep.
I probably beat that game like 10 times. Here, Lloyd, let me ask you a question, because you deal in this kind of stuff every day.
Sure.
How easy is it for someone to accidentally leak information like this to, like, publish a web page? Is it easy to do?
It depends on your back-end system. Okay. But yeah, something like this would be as simple as them forgetting to put a check mark in a box that says "Don't publish." Okay. Like they're probably building up their all their documents because they want to have the help stuff ready to go, but they want to publish it to like their private intranet. But maybe they forgot to put a check mark and it published out to the public internet. It literally as simple as that. It's like when Apple accidentally posts something just because someone left an image in a folder when something was published out, because their system's a little bit different than most. But gotcha. Yeah, it's really simple to do by accident, and makes you wonder if this person is still working for EA. Yeah,
it's definitely because it like and I think that like we've talked about that a lot of these leaks, any leak that has to do with Call of Duty is not a leak to me. It's like, this is a very calculated plan of how we're going to do it. Yeah, it's totally marketing. But when something happens and the internet catches on, and then 5 hours later it is gone and completely erased, that seems like a mistake. Mm-hmm. That seems like a mistake.
Definitely.
But I mean, I am so pumped if that's true. If Mirror's Edge 2 is coming out, that's a buy on launch. Like, I just loved that game. It was fantastic. And the trials that you could do about like trying to beat people's heats and stuff. Man, I was just so addicted to it. Great game.
Yeah. Definitely. It's one of those things where it didn't do so well, even though everybody that played it loved it.
Yeah.
One of those weird
great game
misses.
Until you picked up a gun, and then it totally fell apart.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, moving on. You put this in the show notes.
I didn't put a link to it, but I have it here.
A Razer's gaming laptop has been announced. They're taking pre-orders on June 3rd for it. They don't have any prices as far as I can see.
They do, actually, yes.
Oh, they do?
Well, they have a starting price. It starts at $1,799.
Yeah, that's what
and
I
then
thought.
You work up from there to different tiers, different customized things you want in it. So
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For a gaming laptop, but it is the world's thinnest laptop, is what they say, which is kind of strange.
It is thinner than the MacBook Air. It's 0.66 inches at its thickest spot, and doesn't have that tapered down like the MacBook Air does. It stays constant through the entire thing. Which,
so the MacBook Air is actually thinner in its thinnest spot.
At its thinnest spot,
so
it is thinner.
Apple could say that. Could say, well, screw That's you. True. We're thinner. In where it matters, the front of the laptop.
Exactly.
We got a big butt, but you're just chunky all the way through your laptop, Razer.
It's funny because the computer is called the Razer Blade, and quite frankly, they are shaving millimeters off of this sucker to be as shorter or thinner than the MacBook Air, because the MacBook Air is 0.76 inches or something like that.
And wouldn't it make more sense to have something that looks like the MacBook Air if you're going to call it the Razer Blade, because it already looks like something that you can sharpen to a razor fine tip and then start shaving with it. So now that would make a little more sense.
Razer's always had a really good design acumen on their laptops, and this, quite frankly, looks exactly like a MacBook Pro.
It does.
The tapered edges, the bevels and the screen and how it's inserted.
When it's closed, how it looks all kind of rounded. Like it's not even just beveled. Like it looks like it's.
The trackpad is like I can't, like, if I were to see a picture of that, like I'm looking at it right now, I'm like,
you have a skin.
Tear it right out of the MacBook Pro and then pop it in, then paint it black or something.
Yeah, it even has like the micro speakers on the side and everything. The only thing that makes it look different is the fact that there's two mouse buttons instead of the one. Like the fact that you even have mouse buttons is kind of weird on a trackpad.
Now, the
these
really
days.
interesting thing about this is that it's powerful as all get out. This is a 15-inch laptop, and I do believe, or sorry, 14-inch, and they have a 17 as well too. It is a fourth gen Intel Core processor. They don't have the true raw specs of it yet. 8 gigabyte onboard memory, upgradable to 16. NVIDIA GeForce graphics, the GTX 765, which is 2 gigabytes of VRAM, which is unbelievable. And of course, the 16 by 900 LED backlit screen, 256 gigabyte SSD, and it's also just over 4 pounds. So it weighs about as much as a MacBook Pro as well too, of the same. It's certainly not as light as a MacBook Air, that's for sure. But it's really cool. It's friggin' expensive. You're probably going to spend around $2,000 to get this thing to you once you have outfitted it to the way you like. But it's also going to be, just rare and to play games. I mean, it's a really fantastic looking machine. I like how if you go to their order products page and it says free shipping on orders over $125. You think that one qualifies, Razer? He didn't tell us that we're going to get free shipping. I'm going to spend $2,000 on a laptop. That thing better come to me free, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool.
Very nice looking.
It looks like all the specs are pretty much the same as most other laptops on the market, except for the GPU. Like that GTX 765M looks pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
The most you can get is a GT 650 on the Mac side,
and that's 1 gigabyte or 756.
1 gig, but
1
it's
gig?
but it's not the GTX. It's the GT, so it's not even as fast. I think the GTX is multi-core. I think that's what the X is for. I can't remember. I've been so out of the PC market for so long. I can't.
I've always felt like gaming laptop is like some sort of like really ironic kind of like you're laughing at people when you say it because it's so weird. Like that sucker, if you're going to play a game on it, the battery is, you're not going to be playing very long because the battery's going to be totally dead if you're not plugged in. And if you're plugged in, you can't put that on your lap. It is going to cook the skin off of your legs because it's going to get so damn hot when you're playing a game. Just the weirdest. It looks cool. It looks cool, and people like to buy gaming laptops. Tom had a gaming laptop. I laughed at him for that. This big, bulky 17-inch screen, hunk of plastic, just heavy as all hell. The fan got the computer got so hot because he didn't clean the fan out. It melted the glue off of the rubber feet on the bottom of the laptop, and they all fell off.
Wow.
So then he had his laptop while we were doing the show in the radio station, just sitting on the wood, and you could hear the vibration through the microphones.
That's awesome.
So we'd listen to this show like later on in the week. I'm like, what the hell is that goddamn noise? That's Tom's friggin' laptop cooking an egg, basically.
Wow. That is horrible.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, the GT is two whole, I don't know, segments lower than the GTX because it goes GTX, GTS, and then GT. So whatever they add to the GT becomes a GTS, and then they add to the GTS to become GTX. So it's multiple. I don't want to say iterations better, but I guess it kind of is. So yeah, that's going to be a really fast mobile processor, mobile graphics processor. I can't wait to check out to see some of the specs once it actually gets into people's hands and they can run all the different speed tests on it to see what it actually really can do. But it looks pretty damn powerful.
The benchmarks are going to be where it really shines.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be comparable or better than your average desktop computer that you can buy for $800.
I'd be curious what the 3D Mark score is after it ships to see how much better it is than, say, the top of the line MacBook and the top of the line. I don't know what else people are buying these days.
Alienware.
I guess Alienware would be the next one for kind of premium priced laptops. Cool. Moving on. This is an interesting story that came out prior to E3. Take-Two has announced that they are planning to launch games on tablets day and date with their console and PC versions.
That's pretty cool.
The tablet has now become a platform. And they're
I guess maybe officially, right? I think anybody who has been in the industry has been recognizing it as a platform for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, except for like mainstream kind of game developers, it's all kind of a hobby. It's always been sort of like, oh yeah, tablets. So yeah, you can play your Angry Birds on it. I mean, it's good for that. It's good for your Farmvilles and other things, and they kind of make fun of it. But this is a huge developer. I mean, or a huge publisher rather. They do GTA, Borderlands, XCOM. And they're saying that, yeah, it's just as important to them to get the games on this platform as other ones. They're bringing XCOM to the iPad this summer, and it's going to be the full version of XCOM that shipped on the 360 and the PlayStation 3. And it's going to be...
was an unbelievable game if you're into that.
Yeah.
It made a lot of people's top 10 list. Tom was number one. It was on your list as well too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It was not.
It was
I
not.
have not played this one, but I've heard all sorts of things, and I know a lot of people that have played it. And I will be picking it up when it hits my iPad.
Nice.
So yeah, the full version of XCOM Enemy Unknown will be coming to the iPad this summer, and it's going to have everything except for the online mode, which will then be patched in at a later point. So that's really exciting. That means that probably not for GTA 5, but maybe whatever comes next for GTA, you're going to have it available on your iPad, on your PlayStation 4, and your Xbox One all on the same day. Makes people that buy a tablet, maybe that's going to be a viable platform for them. So you don't buy a laptop anymore. Maybe you buy a tablet because it can do everything that you want. Plus, a lot of your favorite games will just be hitting it on day one. Just adds a little bit more fuel to someone's decision making on making a choice on what to buy for their house.
It's also
cool.
just a really good platform to be making games on. I mean, you can get them out quicker because there's less to kind of take stock of. They still look really great because the hardware is there to support those games. And your audience is massive these days. People who are willing to spend $4 or $5 multiple times in a year instead of that person who will spend $60 maybe once or twice, you know? So it's certainly an attractive market from a business model standpoint.
Yep. It's really cool. So once an XCOM comes out, we'll definitely be talking about it here on the show. As I said, KOTOR came out. That's not a new game. That's a 10-year-old game, but it looks like we're getting like real games on iOS, which is really kind of fun. I'm kind of excited about it. All right, moving on. We're going to get to some of the smaller stories for this week to kind of round out the rest of the show. The first one is kind of really damn hilarious. So the Los Angeles Police Department basically got called to an office block because someone had hit a panic button in the office block to basically test out what it was. They didn't know what it was. They hit the button. So LAPD comes in, sees a statue at the front of the building of a Call of Duty ghost statue. So a guy with a machine gun and a balaclava on sees that.
It's the character from Modern Warfare 2 Ghost.
They see that. They call in the SWAT team. They storm the place with all of their guns drawn. There's some really great snapshots from the security camera. This is incredibly hilarious. I wonder how much this actually costs the LA Police Department and if they're going to actually fine the developer. But yeah, you can see a picture. You see this guy coming in with a tactical shotgun, and he's basically full guns drawn, ready to shoot this statue in the face. Yeah. So I guess that this means, or I guess something to live by is if you are, or if you have an office, maybe don't put statues of people with semi-automatic weapons in plain sight where people might get confused and might get you shot. Because who knows what could happen? Like police could have come in, someone could have jumped out from behind a cubicle to see what happened. Someone could have had an itchy trigger finger, accidentally discharge his weapon, hurt somebody, all because someone was testing what a panic button is on their cubicle. My
question to the LAPD would be, why didn't you just stand there and look at this thing for a few minutes and notice that it did not move at all? Like, you would have quickly figured out it's just a friggin' statue. Other than that, it would like, oh no, maybe this guy is just so good at being,
Yeah, maybe
like
he's trained. Like
he's
maybe
trained
he's
so well.
He's trained in Siberia forever to stand really still. Maybe he was a sniper in his past life, but he's standing up.
Move a friggin' muscle. It's the pictures from the security camera are hilarious. They're also kind of scary at the same time.
Well, there was
Robert Bowling was there, and he said that he was actually detained for a bit.
Yeah, he was, and he basically posted a picture of the statue at the front of their building.
Yeah, so great.
Wow. It looks like only 4 officers actually responded. So it wasn't the SWAT team that I heard some comments on Twitter. People just been making fun of it. But yeah, that's got to cost a lot of money. And it's hilarious. And it's going to be talked about. I'm sure it's going to be talked about on Jay Leno and all the other late night talk shows.
Yeah.
They're going to make fun of it, which is going to be really, really hilarious.
I don't think there's any police force on the planet that has been laughed at more than the LAPD.
Probably not, except for maybe Toronto. But everybody laughs at everything in Toronto.
That's true.
Cool. All right, let's move into the last story. Jeff, why don't you take it over?
Yeah, so previous to my discussion about poor representation of women in video games and in media, you probably are aware, but if you're not, this woman named Anita Sarkeesian, who runs this blog and this web series called Feminist Frequency on YouTube, she was part of this big Kickstarter that got $150,000 for her to do this web series, 3-episode web series on damsels in distress in video games. The first one came out about 3 months ago. It was really, really great, definitely eye-opening. And the second one just came out, and I wanted to let people know that this is out there and they should go watch it. She's getting a ton of flack from a lot of people in the gaming industry who, just think that she's full of shit and that, her opinion shouldn't matter and that she's taking it to an extreme. She actually formulates an argument very well. And right in the beginning, she says, it's completely acceptable to enjoy this media at the same time as criticizing it and finding its faults, which I feel is, the appropriate mindset to go into something like this. So I'm going to put the link to this video is in the show notes. I'll put it in the chat room right now if anybody wants to watch it. It's eye-opening. It'll certainly watch the first episode first. It's certainly going to show you a different side of something that you might not have already known. Now, don't take it at face value and say that all games are like this, like Lloyd and I were trying to say earlier, but it is important that if we're going to grow as a community here, that we should be aware of how things are handled now. Because if we want things to change, we have to kind of understand and kind of get to some sort of base level and be like, okay, this is how bad they are now. Let's try to make them better going forward. And not that things are awful now, but there's some really good arguments presented in this video. So I'm actually really looking, Steve in the chat room says he's looking forward to episode 3, which will all be about games that are basically take the opposite approach and put the male character in distress and the female character has to go and rescue him and kind of games that handle it a lot better. So I'm excited for that as well too. And go and check this series out because I think it's definitely worth a viewing. So if you haven't done already, it's called the Damsels in Distress video series. You can just search it on YouTube or get it in the show notes. But that's it.
Awesome. So go check it out on YouTube. All right, guys, that's going to about do it for this episode of the Bonus Stage Podcast. We love hearing from you. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. Let us know what you think by sending us an email. You email us directly at vgpodcast@gmail.com, or you can call our voicemail line, which is area code 505-VG-Podcasts. Of course, we do this show live every Friday night at 10 p.m. Central, and you can see it over at vgpodcast.com/live. All right, Jeff, thanks for another awesome show.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody that showed up in the chat room. And that's going to about do it for this week. We'll talk to you guys in a week's time. Take it easy.
Let's get started.